So when we first gathered, we realized that one of the biggest concerns among faculty and maybe among humans in general, right, is that Gen AI can become a crutch rather than a tool. And that instead of, in our case, supporting learning, language learning, it will replace thinking and will kind of limit the student's ability to build up and exercise those muscles that the linguistic muscles that they need to master language. We decided, for the sake of these meetings, that we will leave aside for now the broader concerns about the environmental impact and just focus specifically on the pedagogy. And one of the central takeaways from our AI literacy group was that whether AI becomes a shortcut or a crutch or a meaningful learning tool depends almost entirely on how we design tasks. In other words, like with anything else, with any other tool, pedagogy comes first and technology follows. And rather than thinking, what can AI do? Because it can do a lot of things and it looks very cool and mighty and capable. We kept returning to the more productive question, what learning challenge, right, or gap are we trying to address? And is AI the right tool to address that? For example, one kind of area that we, I think, unanimously agreed on is the lack of opportunities for oral communication for students of pretty much every language. And we also unanimously agreed that there is a great potential for AI in that area. Or, we have unequal levels in a class that might be difficult to address, and that's something where AI might be helpful. Or providing individualized feedback to students. So these are all valid concerns, valid gaps, and applying AI to these areas would be really using it as a pedagogical or as a learning tool from the student sides, and a way to train intellectual muscles rather than bypass intellectual work. And as we discuss the use of AI in our classes, both the successful examples and, I guess, failures or inadequacies, we've came up with a shared framework, which is, once again, first, identify a pedagogical need, right, a problem or a gap. Second, decide whether AI can meaningfully address that problem, can meaningfully support that need. And maybe even ask if AI is the only tool to address that need. Maybe there is something more traditional that can serve the same purpose. And third, we need to make sure that AI used by both students and instructors is accompanied by reflection, by critical examination of the process, which puts human judgment and disciplinary values and the instructional purpose at the center, which puts human at the center, in other words. And my colleagues and I have agreed that this approach is especially effective in upper level courses as well as translation courses, and my colleagues will discuss specific applications to that. And I just wanted to know that when we apply the familiar rules, right, the best practices for effective assignment or task design to AI, it's amazing how quickly AI shifts from a crutch to a very effective analytical and learning tool. So this was part of our discussion, and I would say for me probably the most valuable really takeaway. And again, this means that the role of instructors is not being replaced by AI. This means that the human will always be at the center, the teacher or the learner, and that we're still driving, right? We're still in control. And in all of the successful AI uses that we discussed, AI doesn't remove intellectual labor. Instead, it maybe restructures it towards analysis and reflection, and in many cases resulted in actually deeper engagement with the material. And finally, what's important is that this takeaway, this design logic extends far beyond language teaching, and it really applies to all disciplines and maybe kind of to universal use of AI in general, right? Identifying a problem and then asking whether AI is the right tool to solve it and directing our efforts there. So again, one of the most valuable outcomes of this group is the creation of short, pedagogically grounded resources that demonstrate that model the use of AI in instructional design. And these resources that we discussed, they don't teach technology necessarily, but they demonstrate how pedagogy drives AI use, and hopefully helping faculty see the concrete ways AI can function as a tool and not as a crutch in their classes.